Oi. System's rigged, y'all. Gotta fix it. Oi. System's rigged, y'all. We gotta fix it. All right, everybody. So we are back. We are discussing what has happened over the last couple of decades that has gotten us into this position. The position that we are in, it's that everybody's broke and we don't have any money. And we don't have any money because of the greedy corporations. They froze wages, they raised prices, and they bought up all the politicians to make it so that we had no one else to protect us anymore. Because that's what it's always been. It's been a struggle between the rich and powerful in society and the regular people that literally make the society run. And throughout most of history, they have told us that without them, we are nothing. That without the innovators, that without the job creators, that our society wouldn't have any of the cool stuff that we have right now, that there's no way that we'd be able to get by. But that's just not the truth, because really it's a mutually beneficial relationship. The people up top need us to run their companies, just like we need somebody to start the companies. But really, they bought up all the media companies to tell us lies. And that's the situation that we are in right now. Is number one, they got rid of the free market 40 or 50 years ago. There are no more local mom and pop shops that can actually compete with the corporations. And if there's no competition, then we're not in a free market. The hallmark of a capitalistic society, the only thing that actually makes it work are having a free market, because without the free market, the people up top can completely overwork us and underpay us. They've essentially turned our entire country into a company town. That's what's happening, because usually somebody has to pay you living wages. Somebody has to pay their fair amount of taxes, because if they consistently treated their employees bad, if they consistently offered bad products, what would we do? We'd go shop somewhere else. We'd go work somewhere else. But because the same three companies control over 85% of the corporations on the S&P 500, they figured out if they overwork and underpaid all of us, that we'd never have any security. And if we don't have any security, we can never push back, because we're so afraid of financial ruin, because we're so afraid of losing what little that we have. And that's where it's absolutely insane what has happened with our country, because, the last 40 years, the transfer in wealth from the bottom and middle class to the ultra wealthy has been absolutely unprecedented. We used to be able to have a quality of life comparable with other countries. We used to say like, hey, da, da, da. Now we literally point to the Scandinavian countries and say, hey, look at that high-speed rail. Look at all of the services that they receive. And that's because they have it set up correctly. Their economy works for their citizens. Our economy doesn't work for us. We think that the economy just works for the people up top, but it doesn't. It's supposed to work for all of us, because why have, an economy that is this big and this strong if it can't build the housing that we need to have enough houses? Why have an economy this big and strong if so many of us are working for these successful companies, but we're not successful ourselves? Because they figured out if they underpay us, that we can never go and acquire a different job, that we can acquire new skills. If we don't have enough money to move, we can't move somewhere to start a new life. If we don't have enough money for to start a business, then we can't start a business that competes with them. Why do you think we can't? It absolutely 100% is. The only difference is that in non-economic slavery, in regular chattel slavery, that the owner actually had to pay to feed and house the slaves. So the cost of living was on the owner. But nowadays, they pay us just enough, because if all of your savings, if all of your money goes just to the cost of living, then you are a slave. Because if you don't have anything over and above to buy food, to buy housing, because that's really what it is. If all of the resources that you earn go to providing just the bare minimum, then we are nothing. We aren't our own. We don't have freedom, because it's like this. Because freedom only is there if you have freedom to choose or freedom to say no. So if you don't have any money, you don't have the freedom to choose. So therefore, if you don't have any money, you don't have any freedom. Your time is bought and paid for. You can choose. It feels like more freedom. You can choose who owns your time. But if you don't give them enough of your time, if you don't give them enough of your life, they will take away your ability to buy food. They will take away your ability to buy housing. That is why it's called economic slavery. It's just slavery with extra steps. Because before, the people in charge had to provide food, had to provide housing. But now they make us provide those things. And we feel like we're free because we can go around and choose which person, which master that we want to work for. But if every single person that you work for, if you are barely able to afford food and housing and all of the resources that you make, so it's like you have to trade your time for money. And then if all of the time that you trade only goes to buying the bare minimum of resources that you need to live, literally, what is difference between economic slavery and chattel slavery? The fact that we get to choose who we give our time to. That's it. That's the only difference. Because if we don't have enough to live, we don't have security. That's what this is all about, everybody. We don't have security. Because essentially, they figured out the top three companies, BlackRock, Vanguard, and State Street, they own over 85% of corporations, or they're the top shareholder, of 85% of corporations on the S&P 500. So it's so funny to me when somebody's like, oh, if you don't like your job, just go get another job. Well, you are more than likely going to be working for a company that is owned by Vanguard, BlackRock, or State Street. Scholastic just came out with a new streaming service. Do you know who Scholastic is owned by? I believe it's Vanguard. So it's so funny because they just came in and positioned themselves as, oh, look, you're canceling Disney Plus, come over into Scholastic. Oh, look, you're canceling Hulu, come watch Scholastic. I haven't even looked, but I guarantee the main shareholder in Hulu and Disney Plus are also Vanguard, BlackRock, or State Street. And then we hear this wonderful brand from our childhood. Oh, Scholastic. We remember the book fairs. Nope. Also bought by the private equity firms. Let's look at childcare, huh? It used to be, what's up, Boss Legs? It used to be the childcare was a community system. It was something that we relied on our friends, our family, our neighbors for. But then what happens is corporations come on in, they offer us a new service. For a little while, it works great. And then they decide to start pumping up the prices. Now, childcare for kids under 5 is literally $20,000 a year in many places. So look at Transportation, right? We all know that in many places across America, pre-1900, we had fantastic public transportation. We had the cart rails, we had metros or all kinds of things. The electric cars is what I'm thinking of in San Francisco. We're all around. And what ended up happening was they came on in, they offered their new alternative of cars. And then now that the cars became the number one point that we are all, they use to make money off of us, where did the public infrastructure go? It's gone. So that's what happens is we have something that either the common good paid for or that we used to rely on our friends, our family, our community for. Corporations come on in, they offer a better alternative. For a little while, it's cheaper. I mean, that's how Walmart pushed out all the general stores. They came on in, they lowered their prices, and as soon as nobody else could compete, they raised them back up. Same with Home Depot. Same with all of the major, box stores and things like that. Home Depot came on in, they lowered their prices for the hardware, and then knocked out all the mom and pop shops, and then went and raised those prices right on back up. So what they do is they come on in, they get rid of the systems that we have in place. They make it so it looks like their systems are more desirable. But then after those systems are maybe more desirable for a little while, they jack up the prices. So that's exactly what we've seen over the last 50, 60 years. So what are we going to do about it? Because they have bought or they've taken over the entire political process, which is difficult. But really, the hardest part is that they've taken over the entire media. They tell us lies all the time. And that's what's so difficult, is that the lies just have enough a hint of truth in them that they make it difficult to discern where the lie ends and where the truth begins. Like the fact that they tell us that without the billionaires, we are nothing. Without the innovators, we are nothing. But really, they need us just as much as we need them. And then the most insidious thing they tell us is that when somebody is underpaid, it only affects that person. No, not at all. Because when somebody is underpaid, and especially when all of us are underpaid, that's the thing here, is that we all are working hard for successful corporations. Those successful corporations, if a company is successful, its employees should be successful too. But right now, they're not, because greedy corporations lowered wages, they raised prices, they raised the cost of goods and services, of groceries, and then they went to the politicians and used their lobbyists to rewrite the rules so it all stays that way. Ever wonder why it doesn't feel like anything changes or gets better? That's because the politicians don't work for us. So let's get back to it. So when 80% of Americans, that's 208 million people, can't afford a $5,000 emergency, that's not every single person forgetting how to budget at once. That's not everyone being lazy, because that's the thing that ticks me off the most. People come in and they go, oh, well, other people are just lazy, right? It's never them that are lazy. It's always those other people are lazy. And then I say, well, if those people are lazy, then why are the companies that they're working for so successful? So Cisco Systems just had record profits. Then it announced record layoffs. I'm sure we all heard of Starbucks recently announcing how big those profits were and then getting rid of all their unionized stores. So it's almost like their weird thing about the immigrants is that immigrants are both lazy and they're here to steal our jobs. So it's like that's what they're trying to say about other employers, or other hardworking Americans, like people that live across the street from them. Oh, well, they're just lazy. They need to get more skill. They need to go and do this. But here's the thing. If somebody doesn't have the skills, if someone is unable to find a better job, to move to a better location, is it really their fault? or have they just a product of their society? Because society is the one that creates the condition for the skills, right? People are born as blank slates. Workers don't just appear in the market with these skills. The skills that they are talking about are shaped by the schools they went to, the neighborhoods they grew up in, the resources that their parents either did or didn't have. None of those things are decided by the individual themselves. Society as a whole funds those things. It's called the public good. So therefore, the public good, or lack thereof, is the number one shaper of if someone has those skills or not. So if an employee, if a person, if your neighbor, if a fellow American lacks the skills, it is not because of their personal failing. It is because the society or the neighborhood, or more likely in our country, the zip code is the biggest determinant of where you will end up. So therefore, if somebody is born into the wrong zip code, they didn't receive the same level of opportunity. They didn't receive the same level of education. And how can you fault that individual for the system's issues? McCown, that's what this is all about, my friend. It is joining up with groups like yours. I will come on here every single day and talk about your planning your day off for truckers, because this is the kind of impact that we have. So right now, let's talk about what we're doing, because I've been talking about the problem for a little while. Let's talk about some freaking solutions. So right now, first step is to recognize that greed is the disease and everything else is just a symptom. So logically, if greed is the disease, what fuels their greed? Our hard work, like my friend McCown is realizes right here with holding that day off. So our hard work. So in order to stop fueling their greed, we need to withhold our hard work. However, we are so divided, we are so separated that it is very difficult for all of us to get on the same page and push back. So what we need to do is have many steps together. Practice strikes, practice pushback. We call them black out the system, baby. Where we have absolutely no economic spending, no economic activity. You stay home from work if you can. And it is all of us practicing and understanding, hey, we realize that this first wave, this second wave, this third wave might not shake the boat too much. But once we get to our hard work that we are paid not enough for, I just went over it. When over 80% of Americans can't afford a $5,000 emergency, that affects all of us. Because when 208 million people who are working for companies who talk about record profits every quarter, so it's 200 million people who work for corporations that talk about profits every single quarter, it's not that it's that they're not being paid enough. Because why is the company so successful? So Jeremy, here's exactly what it is. We are not we are building up the people say they won't part. Because people are afraid of speaking out. They need to see that there are a lot of other people. Well, the way they see it, these free stickers. Go sign up on the link in the bio. The way they see it, Jeremy, is on the website, in the link in the bio. You can go sign up for Hey Neighbor, which is about turning your neighborhood into a community. You can sign up for the Couch to Community Challenge, because this is all about connecting with people in your area. Because right now you say people say they won't, but what if we talked about it rather than all of us pushing back? What if we just wanted to get rid of or stop the people who are working at companies that screw us all over? So here's my favorite analogy. We all just had it happen with Disney, right? But who were the other companies with Disney? I think it was Nexstar and Sinclair. I think we've all heard a lot about Sinclair recently. Well, Sinclair's not even that big of a company. So what would we do if as a country we said, hey, employees that work for Sinclair, we really think the company that you work for is screwing us all over. What's it going to take for you to not go to work tomorrow? That's all this is, right? That's all this is. We find the 10, the 20, the terrible companies. We figure out a way to say, hey, employees of this company, we think that you going to work is hurting all of us. What's it going to take for you to not go to work tomorrow? Well, let's think about it. They'd probably say food. They'd probably say, oh, well, I need to make my house payment. Oh, and I need a little bit of extra money for the coffee I like to get every day, for my Netflix, whatever it might be. And I guarantee you, as a country, we'd be like, yeah, we really want to get rid of those lying people that you work for. We want their influence out of here. And how we're going to do that is we're just going to ask you to not work, and we're going to help you not work. We're going to pay you to not work, essentially. So, but in order to do that, we have to have the systems in place, right? We have to have a way for them to get food. We have to wait for them to get their housing, all of those things. And that's what we talk about is we can't just talk about what's wrong. We have to build what is right, because we can't have sustained pushback without having the systems to sustain us, right? And that's all this is really about. But how do we get sustained pushback when we are all separated and divided? Boom, baby, we get on the same page. So you can download a lot of this information that I am talking about. Go to the website, blackoutthesystem.com. The link is in the bio. And on the page, it says take action now. I think there's 2 buttons, and then right underneath of that. Because the idea is you signed up for the free stickers, but shoot, we want you doing something today if you can. So you got a couple different options. You can give us some stories and give us your information. Go add to the wall of stolen wages. Tell us how your boss is screwing you over, because 208 million people in this country are getting screwed over. And the more that we all start talking about it, the more that we break the silence, the more that we break the fear. So let me give you an analogy of what we are doing. Here's what breaking the silence and breaking the fear feels like. If one person walks into the boss's office, think about this. Think of today, that 90s trope where, hey, you got to go in and ask for a raise today. Well, they go in and ask for a raise. That's really scary to go in and ask for a raise, right? The 90s trope is, oh, Martha, I don't want to go in and talk to my boss today. Who knows what'll happen, right? And then so it's scary. It's scary to go ask your boss for a raise. Hello, Capital. How's it going? Love the name. Because you don't know what's going to happen, because for our whole life, the bosses have said, you need us more than we need you. You are replaceable. You are nothing. So what did we used to do? Rather than one of us walking into the office, into the boss's office, we all walked into the boss's office. And as a business owner, I can tell you that is incredibly damn effective. And that is why the people up top, the greedy corporations and the career politicians, have spent decades making sure that unions are not strong, not powerful. Because imagine this. Imagine every single person in your company walking into the boss's office at the same time, speaking the same language. Are you afraid anymore? Mm-mm. You're not even nervous, because you know you are going to get it, because the boss depends on your hard work. That's how I figured this out. I'm sitting here right now because my employees are at work. I rely on them to get the job done. So it is actually terrible business practices to underpay the people that make you money. So that's what happened to me. I'm sitting here going, hey, why is it that I see all these corporations that make way more money than I do purposefully underpaying their employees? That doesn't make sense, because if you underpay the people who make you money, well, you're going to lose the people that make you money. I started looking more into it. Oh, They basically have a company town. So it's, yeah, we don't care if you leave this company because I own the next one down the street. And when you go and you leave that company too, I own the next one down the street. Oh, and you're going to go work for that small business? Guess whose contracts keep that small business afloat? Mega corporations' contracts do. So even those small businesses that seem like they're independent, the majority of those small businesses are their biggest contract is from mega corporations. Even if we go and we shop local and we do the work, where do you think a lot of those local vendors are buying their products and buying their supply from? Mega corporation. So this is what we need to push back against. We need to realize that it is everything. So the first step is spreading the truth, y'all. They are not the billionaires. They are the hoarders. This is how we overcome the lies that they have told us for decades, by not just meekly saying it out loud, but by showing, not even just telling people something, making them feel it. Why are you working harder than ever and still falling farther behind? This is what the right is so good at. They yell at us, oh, facts over feelings, oh, facts over feelings. But literally, their whole propaganda and rhetoric is based on feelings. So that's where we need to hit people. They're not the billionaires, they're the hoarders. It's not left versus right, it is up versus down. And greed is the disease. Everything else is just a symptom. Everything, including Trump, including this administration. Because just getting rid of Trump is not going to fix what is happening in our country. Trump is a symptom of what was happening over the last 40 and 50 years. And now you can tell that he is a symptom because who was sitting behind him at his inauguration but every single tech billionaire that has taken way more than their fair share. Think of the message that sends to our country. There wasn't the children sitting behind him. There wasn't our greatest poets or speechwriters or wordsmiths. Hell, it wasn't even our greatest athletes. It was the greediest of all Americans, because that's what they are, right? They are the greediest of all Americans. Actually, Tashawn, you are who we were just working for. So we have things for everyone. First step is everybody's got to put up free stickers, because that's how we spread this word. That's how we show people that we are actually doing something, that we understand that greed is the disease. Everything else is just a symptom. Well, how do we stop fueling their greed? We stop working. How do we get on the same page so all of us stop working at once? We have practice pushbacks. We call the practice pushbacks black out the system. Because what the point of black out the system is, it's to get as many people on our side and say, you ready? I'm ready. We're just waiting for the word. And then here are the other things that you can do. So Congress of Climate just reached out to Sean. They are one of the people that helps us with local civic action, finding your chamber of commerce. Oh my God. Every single corporation that has been let into every single town in America was first approved by the Chamber of Commerce. We need to go talk and figure out, or we need to go talk and build relationships and understand the chambers of commerce in our society. We also, in our towns, we also need to get into just local civic discourse, like learning when your town meetings are, learning who's on your school board. And then finally, letters to the editor. So when you go sign up, choose local civic action and participation, you can be a part of Congress of Climate's team. So that is the first step, what you can do locally. So Chamber of Commerce, local town councils, and letters to the editor. Then for the people that are working, it starts with free stickers. Everybody starts with the free stickers because we got to spread the word. So it goes free stickers. Then you got to push back at work. That's wearing black every single Friday. and taking pictures of it, even if it's just your shirt and your arm. You don't need the face, but we need the pictures because other people have to see it. Because if one of you sends in a Blackout Friday picture, it doesn't do shit. But if 10,000 of you send it in, one of these stickers doesn't do anything. But we have over 60,000 out across the country. So push back. Blackout Fridays are a huge part. On top of that, 5 minutes of freedom. Take back 5 minutes from your boss and document it. They have taken time and money from you so long that we're taking it back. We're taking back 5 minutes. There you go, Silva. Because that's what I'm thinking. We should even have like a Black Friday and then like a Red Monday. Because it'd be so great where if you saw somebody wearing black on Saturday, that you then did on Monday. So Casanova, the whole thing is we have to build up to a nationwide strike. Greed is the disease. That's what fuels our hard work, is what fuels their greed. So in order to stop their greed, we have to stop working hard. But it has to be a prolonged pushback, sustained pushback. And we can't sustain a pushback unless we build the systems that sustain us. So say you don't go to work for a month, you're going to need to find a place to get your food, right? Say you don't go to work, say you don't pay your housing for a while, you're going to need to figure out a way to cover your housing. So you can't just stop it right away, because the reason we haven't done that is we are just as dependent on the system right now. We are so dependent that they realize, oh, they can't strike long enough. We will always outlast them. The only way that we can strike long enough is if we build the systems that sustain us. That's exactly it, Silva. Think of it like this. Think of if we had to have one company, just one company, not all the companies, just one company. How would we get it if we wanted to stop having ExxonMobil's employees show up? If we wanted to stop having Fox News employees show up? Or Sinclair is the one I've been using. Well, you go to each of those employees and you say, what does it take for you to not go to work tomorrow? Right? That's it. And you have to make your offer more appealing than them going to work tomorrow. That's all. So right now, Casanova, the offer that you're making is, oh, just don't go to work. People don't see how is that going to be more appealing, because in a week, I'm not going to have enough money for food. In 4 weeks, I'm not going to have enough money for a house. So that's why people haven't striked yet or haven't gone to the streets yet, because they realize that they depend on the systems too much. So that's where we have to come together and build the systems that we need. Trading and bartering and getting food producers and bringing people together and understanding that we need food and housing to live. So we have to spread the word. We do that with the free stickers. That is the first step. Go sign up for free stickers. The link is in the bio. We are building towards the second wave of Blackout the System. We are supporting No Kings on October 18th. And then we have our own Blackout the System coming. Black Friday, I think it's November 27th or 28th. And that is where we come together to bring people under the umbrella, not to say, oh, this Blackout the System is going to take down the economy. No, but what it's going to do is it's going to get thousands more people on our side. It's going to get tens of thousands more stickers back up. And it's about the stacked impact. It is about all of us realizing that without each of us taking small acts together, that is the only way that we are actually going to win. It cannot be. Here we go. Here's some of the stuff we got. Community is the opposite of greed. So go download this, put it up. That's exactly what we need, is spreading this word. Look, it's not up versus down. It's left, or it's not left versus right. It's up versus down. But that's the thing, Silva. We cannot depend on if one of us wins the lottery. We have to go ahead and do this because community is the opposite of greed. That's what this really comes down to, is that greed is the disease. Our hard work is what fuels their greed. Well, the opposite of greed is community. So we have to come together. These are all that you can download. They're not billionaires. They're the hoarders. Go share these online. This is what needs to happen. We have to spread this message. We have to show people the way, because this is what we are doing. We are breaking the silence. And as soon as we break the silence, we'll break the fear. Breaking the silence, it's like a crack in the dam. And we're all going, hey, look, there's that crack in the dam. I think if we make it a little wider, we might be able to get out of here. I think we might be able to escape, everybody. And everybody else going, nah, it's too small. Nah, it's too small. And us going like, hey, I think we can open up this bad boy. Let's go. That's us breaking the silence, trying to open up the crack in the dam, make it wider and wider, get others to see what is possible. And then suddenly we're going to be having a blackout one day. We're going to be talking about the hoarders, and we are just going to start seeing whoosh, the dam come flowing through, because it's going to feel like nothing is happening, but the crack is widening. The crack is widening. Look at the language that sites like the More Perfect Union and Media Matters are using. They are using the same language. It is not left versus right. It is up versus down. Greed is the disease in our country. Everything else is just a symptom. What they try to say is, oh, there's 1,000 problems going on. There's 1,000 fires that we need to put out. That's not the truth, though, because what we need to do is focus on the people with the flamethrowers, and that is the billionaires and the career politicians. So don't get me wrong. We are not against wealthy people. This is not your rich uncle. This is not your friend that started a business. This is people with hundreds of millions or billions of dollars. And this is exactly what we need, is one letter to the editor every single week. Shoot, we will give you 5 different templates that you can send depending on what you want to do. Congress, I've been meaning to email you, because more and more, I think we just need to get your tactics up somewhere and have people copy them. Because it's, hey, what's up, legend? Because it's like, hey, if we need this letter to the editor, here's 3 different options that you can use. If you need this, to meet with your Chamber of Commerce, if you want to read this to your Chamber of Commerce, here's what you can use. Because this is really the next step, I think. And I think that local government, so it's like we have to go to people that actually care, right? So the people that actually care would be the politicians that are our neighbors. I learned recently, yeah, I know that is my big goal, Devin, but here is like the perfect example of what I'm talking about. So I found out that one of my neighbors, give me just a minute, is that one of my neighbors was a county sheriff, or like the county sheriff. And so I'm like I probably would not have liked this person initially because, the role that they're in and all that kind of stuff. But now I have a relationship with this person. And then I thought the other way. I go, oh, shoot. If I had just gone to this person and started yelling to them about, hey, I don't like what you're doing. You spend all this time policing in the city. Like, I can imagine what you've done. But no, what's actually happened is we've got this little relationship now. I've said hi to him. He says hi to me. Da, da, da. In the back of my head, I'm always like, oh, you dirty mofo. Da, 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 da. But it's cordial, right? So now after that relationship has been built, now you are able to actually go and I can have a conversation that I believe that he would listen to. And this is really what we are talking about. So Nova, Congress, how you both doing today?
And that is what we need to do, is just start talking to our local communities and getting the word out locally, and building these community groups out. Start implementing things that you want to see locally that make your community a better place. Music festivals, art festivals, mutual aid groups. We do a lot of swap meets, yard sales, potlucks, all of those good things that get you out there meeting your neighbors on a neutral ground so that you can find some common interests and start from there so that we can build something better.
Absolutely. And then Silva, I see that too. So our next step is to get it built up state by state, because with the things that we're trying to work out, we've got different food security systems, different, swap meets and different things like that. Really just meeting people face to face in community. That is really the best part, because that was that story that I just talked about, right? Where that sheriff, I would have never gotten along. If I had known who they were before I'd met them a couple times, who knows if I would have been as cordial. But now realizing that, like, oh, it was that relationship, that cordiality that might, I don't know if that's a word, that might make it so that we have a relationship longer, so that when something happens, where if I go talk at the city council or this and that I could either name drop him or use his influence. And it's only through building that relationship. And we have never talked about anything other than our families. How was your summer? Different things like that. And that's where the neighborhood, turning your neighborhood into a community is going to be so important. So if you've already done stickers, if you're looking for something else to do, it is Hey Neighbor is what the name of the organization is. I believe we put a link up on the site. He holds conference calls multiple times a week just to build community among people. It's so cool. And he teaches people how to turn your neighborhood into a community. And it's just by these small, simple steps that he takes with being more engaged with your neighbors and different things like that. And obviously it's not for everybody, but it is so important to actually build up those face-to-face meetings. Because like I said earlier, now I've got it in with the sheriff in our county, and it's just important where even if it is just somebody, your neighbor that you are seeing and talking to, the more people that we can get to recognize the truth, because that's really the step that we're in. We need to get as many people as possible to recognize the truth, that there are 1,000 different issues going on. There's a lot of fires, but we have to focus on the people with the flamethrowers. And that are the billionaires, the ultra wealthy, the career politicians. And then what we need to do is understand that our small acts will stack together to make a large impact. Because kind of like what Castanova was saying earlier, oh, let's go strike. I love the enthusiasm. But if we can't make striking, if we can't make not going to work as appealing as going to work, we will never have the numbers that we need to make influence. So what we do is we have small pushbacks. We have practice strikes, and we call them black out the system, because that is exactly what we need to be doing. No economic activity, no working, nothing like that. And that is exactly, what needs to happen, because we've got to change the message. We've got to change the narrative. We've got to show the receipts. That's the most important part. You can go over and push over a tree in the woods, but is anybody going to happen? Go push over that, or is anybody going to hear about it? Go push over that tree in the woods and take a picture of it. The only reason that the Montgomery bus boycott got so popular was because they said, hey, we're not just going to boycott the bus lines. We need every single person to take a picture of everything that you are doing. And that's where the upload link on the website comes in, because it is so important to show our receipts, to stack that impact. Just the other week, Isaiah posted this amazing compilation video, and that's the kind of stuff that we're going to be putting out, showing people the impact. And that's exactly, Silva, it's not just about talking about what's wrong, it's about building what is right. Because they've come in, and you have to think of our society like a brick wall. And a lot of that brick wall was built with community, with togetherness, with our friends, our family, and our neighbors. And what happened is, with the help of the politicians, corporations came in and knocked out a lot of the bricks, and they replaced it with their corporate services. But those bricks didn't quite fit so well. Those bricks maybe destroyed some of the bricks surrounding it when they were getting it put in there. And now the whole structure feels like it is falling. And that's what has been happening is as Americans, we are living in a house that the foundation is crumbling. But when we sit here and point fingers left or right, that is like us arguing over the colors of the wall while the house is crumbling down. And that is what we have to fix first. We have to get on the same page. We have to understand that anytime that we point fingers left or right, we are doing the biddings of the billionaires because it only helps them to have us fight. So anytime you see people point fingers left or right, then you're just doing the biddings of the billionaires. Legend, how you doing today?
Yo, what's up, Corey? How are you, man?
Doing good, sir. Doing good.
Yo, just for everybody real quick watching the live, you guys know what I do all the time. Please double tap that screen. Get this shared out to the For You page. The reason that Black Alpha System has grown is because of everybody in the chat, everybody doing the work, every single person that is joining Black Alpha System